So sorry, the last video got cut off. Got too much stuff on my phone. So I'm just going to continue uh, with this video, and was talking about how Krishna came into the forest and suddenly the darkness could not withhold its darkness, because Krishna is the ultimate source of love. So therefore, similarly, our lust, our desire to control, and our contact with Krishna, when we make contact, when we engage with Krishna, which is called the yoga yukta, right? You know, it's like this engaging yukta is like an adhesive, you know, like connecting, or going to and engaging in. And so it has a similar term that yoga comes from, which is yoke, or to connect. And so this connecting with Krishna actually brings life, brings light to the darkness, just like Krishna. So Krishna, I always just immediately was drawn to that. Krishna came and there was no more darkness. So that was sort of a long sidestep to there. But anyway, the moonlight dissipated the surrounding darkness, right? In this case, the moonlight, but Krishna is considered the embodiment of the moon as well. Due to the season, flowers like the kunda and kandamba were blooming, and a gentle breeze was carrying their aroma. Due to the aroma, the bees were also flying in the breeze, thinking that the aroma was honey. The gopis made a seat for Krishna by leveling the soft sand and placing cloths over it. The gopis who were gathered there were mostly all followers of the Vedas. In their previous birth, during the Ramachandra advent, they were Vedic scholars who desired the association of Lord Ramachandra in conjugal love. Ramachandra gave them the benediction that they would be present for the advent of Lord Krishna, and he would fulfill their desires. During Krishna's advent, the Vedic scholars took birth in the shape of the gopis in Vrindavan as young gopis. They got the association of Krishna and fulfillment of their previous birth desire. The ultimate goal of their perfect desire was attained, and they were so joyous that they had nothing further to desire. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. If one attains the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then he has no desire for anything. So in our day-to-day life, in being in life, we have so many desires for attainment. You know, attainment in love and perfection, attainment in marriage, of like keeping our marriage, you know, spicy and exciting. We have attainments for like having a great job, or like maybe, you know, I haven't been to all these places in the world and I want to do traveling and so many things. Oh, what's in my bucket list, you know? But all those things are temporary, flash in the pan. We may think, oh, I haven't done it because it's in my bucket list, but the actual desire for it is so strong that we may get it, but we will not be fulfilled by it. And ultimately, even if we have some kind of satisfaction from it, it's temporary. And then we're like, oh yeah, remember that time we went to the Bahamas or whatever? Yeah, that was great. And now you're just facing death. When ultimately our human form of life should be used to cultivate our love for Krishna, which is the most joyous and eternal association and eternal function of us as a spirit soul. When we come to the time of the end of this body, then it's just like, okay, that's just going from one step to another step, you know. We shed our body, we go on with Krishna, or we shed our body, we take on another body and continue to serve Krishna. So it's just continuing. This is, as they said, you know, it was confirmed. There was nothing else to attain. These great sages had attained Krishna as gopis, and that's all they wanted, you know. When the gopis had Krishna in their company, not only all their grief, but their lamenting in the absence of Krishna was relieved. They felt they had no desire to be fulfilled. Fully satisfied in the company of Krishna, they spread their cloths on the ground. These garments were made of fine linen and smeared with the red kunkuma, which decorated their breasts. With great care, they spread a sitting place for Krishna. Krishna was their life and soul, and they created a very comfortable seat for him. Sitting on the seat amongst the gopis, Krishna became more beautiful. Great yogis like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, or even Lord Shesha, and others always try to fix their attention upon Krishna in their heart. But here the gopis actually saw Krishna seated before them on their cloths. In the society of the gopis, Krishna looked very beautiful. They were the most beautiful damsels within the three worlds, and they were assembled together around Krishna. It may be asked herein how Krishna seated himself beside so many gopis and yet sat alone. There is a significant word in this verse, Ishvara. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam. Ishvara refers to the Supreme Lord as a supersoul seated in everyone's heart. Krishna also manifested this potency expansion as Paramatma in this gathering with the gopis. Krishna was sitting by the side of each gopi, unseen by the others. Krishna was so kind to the gopis that instead of sitting in their hearts to be appreciated in yogic meditation, he seated himself by their sides. By seating himself outside, he showed special favor to the gopis, who were the selected beauties of all creation. Having gotten their most beloved Lord, the gopis began to please him by moving their eyebrows and smiling and also suppressing their anger. Some of them took his lotus feet in their laps and began to massage him. While smiling, they confidentially expressed their suppressed anger and said, "Dear Krishna, we are ordinary women of Vrindavan, and we do not know much about Vedic knowledge, what is right and what is wrong. We therefore put a question to you, and since you are very learned, you can answer it properly. In dealing between lovers, we find that there are three classes of men. One class simply receives, another class reciprocates favorably, even if the lover is very contrary, and the third class neither acts contrary nor answers favorably in dealings of love. So out of these three classes, which do you prefer, or which do you call honest?" In answer, Krishna said, "My dear friends, persons who are simply reciprocate the loving dealings of the other party are just like merchants. They give in loving affairs as much as they get from the other party. Practically, there is no question of love. It is simply business dealing, and it is self-interested or self-centered. Better the second class of men, who love in spite of the opposite party's contrariness. Even those without a tinge of loving affairs are better than the merchants. Sincere love can be seen when the father and mother love their children in spite of their children's neglect. The third class neither reciprocates nor neglects. They can be further divided into two classes. One is self-satisfied, who do not require anyone's love. They are called Atma Rama, which means they are absorbed in the thought of the Supreme Personality of God, and so do not care whether one loves them or not. But another class of men are ungrateful men, who are called callous. The men in this group revolt against superior persons. For instance, a son, in spite of receiving all kinds of things from loving parents, may be callous and not reciprocate. Those in this class are generally known as Guru Drua, which means they receive favors from the parents or the spiritual master and yet neglect them. Krishna indirectly answered the questions of the gopis, even those questions which imply that Krishna did not properly receive their dealings. In answer, Krishna said that he, as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, is self-satisfied. He does not require anyone's love, but at the same time he said that he is not ungrateful. My dear friends, Krishna continued, you might be aggrieved by my words and acts, but you must know that sometimes I do not reciprocate my devotees' dealings with me. It appears that my devotees are very much attached to me, but sometimes I do not reciprocate their feelings properly in order to increase their love for me more and more. If I can very easily be approached by them, they might think Krishna is so easily available. So sometimes I do not respond. If a person has no money, but after some time accumulates some wealth and then loses it, he will think of the lost property 24 hours a day. Similarly, in order to increase the love of my devotees, sometimes I appear to be lost to them. And instead of forgetting me, they feel their loving sentiments for me increase. So very beautiful, actually. Yes. So makes a devotee work for extra hard for that love for Krishna, not be neglectful or feel like it's just cheap or something. My dear friends, do not think for a moment that I have been dealing with you just like ordinary devotees. I know what you are. You have forsaken all kinds of social and religious obligations. You have given up all connection with your parents. Without caring for social convention and religious obligations, you have come to me and loved me, and I am so much obliged to you that I cannot treat you as ordinary devotees. Do not think that I was away from you. I was near to you. I was simply seeing how much you were anxious for me in my absence. So please do not try to find fault in me. Because you consider me so dear to you, kindly excuse me if I have done anything wrong. I cannot repay your continual love for me, even throughout the lifetimes of the demigods and the heavenly planets. It is impossible to repay you or show gratitude for your love. Therefore, please be satisfied by your own pious activities. You have displayed exemplary attraction for me, overcoming the greatest difficulties arising from family connections. Please be satisfied with your highly exemplary character, for it is not possible for me to repay your debt. The exemplary character of devotional service manifested by the devotees of Vrindavan is the purest type of devotion. It is enjoined in the authoritative Shastra, that's scriptures, that devotional service must be ahaituka and apratihata. This means that devotional service to Krishna cannot be checked by political or religious convention. The stage of devotional service is always transcendental. The gopis particularly showed pure devotional service toward Krishna, so much so that Krishna himself remained indebted to them. Lord Chaitanya thus said that the devotional service manifested by the gopis in Vrindavan excelled all other methods of approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 31st chapter of Krishna, songs by the gopis. And we will continue some more. Chapter 32, description of the Rasa dance. Thus, hearing the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna speaking to pacify them, the gopis became very much pleased. And not only by hearing his words, but also by touching the hands and legs of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they became completely relieved from the great suffering of separation. After this, the Supreme Personality of Godhead began his Rasa dance. When one dances in the midst of many girls, it is called a Rasa dance. So Krishna began to dance amongst the most beautiful and fortunate girls within the three worlds. The gopis of Vrindavan, who were so attracted to him, danced with Krishna hand in hand. Krishna's Rasa dance should never be compared with any kind of material dance, such as a ball dance or society dance. The Rasa dance is a completely spiritual performance.